my co-host, Corey Carter, and we are bringing the culture to track and field.
Track girl summer, track girl summer. Oh, I love it. Aw, thanks, Nika.
Nika's obviously been tuning in for the past 11 days. Today is day 12. Can you believe it? We made it this far.
It's been a journey, but we've made it.
I can't remember if it was here or on World Athletics where I was like, I have never done anything this long. Like even in training, I take a break. But we've been going 12 days strong. Today's day 12.
Also, I would like to say it is not my fault for the state of Natasha's voice. Last night, I said, Natasha, do you want a cup of tea? I'll make it for you. Put honey in there.
She did.
And this girl fell asleep on me before I could even get the
tea. I was so exhausted yesterday, but we're here now. Follow me, follow Natasha Hastings on IG, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the things. Follow Corey, the Corey Monster, IG, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the things. Follow World's Greatest, IG, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. You guys are on Facebook, right? You'll see all of their cool super docs and some of the clips you've been seeing play on our intro here. So, I've been saying we'll be here every day. We've got one more day that we will be here, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Hey, y'all, I want y'all to appreciate something. I'm like going way off script, but I don't even care. We have been bringing 2 hours of nonstop, no commercial content.
Wait, time out. They said, is it just Charmaine that's not here? Can you hear us, guys?
Can you guys hear us? Can you guys hear us?
No, okay, because people are talking about what we're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Charmaine, get it together.
Yeah, we've been bringing like 2 hours straight of just straight content. No bathroom break, no commercial
And my
break.
bladder needs every 90 minutes. Every 90 minutes.
And so this is a feat for us.
But it's fun. Like I feel like it's easy. It's like because I enjoy.
I won't say it's easy, but
I feel like we're passionate about it, and so it's not like a struggle. It is a struggle. What I'm saying is I enjoy what we do, and I'm grateful that we've got to do it, and I'm happy I got to do it with you, Natasha.
I'm happy I got to do it with you too. I'd be tired. She just said I fell asleep on her tea last night, but like the camera goes on and it's like game time.
Yes.
So I've been enjoying my 12 days with you all, but Auntie's looking forward to a break. But we're coming right back at you, and we'll give you that information later on in the show. So today we will be going over our predictions and how those went in the men's and women's 4x4. We also have an amazing guest. I'm so excited. We will be joined by the JJK, Jackie Joyner Kersey.
Look at baby Corey with Jackie.
She's going to be coming through to talk to us, have a little chit chat. All the things. We won't be doing a prediction because, we won't be doing a prediction, but we'll be talking to Jackie. So lastly, we throw some tweets up on the screen. If you see a tweet pop up and there's a play option, just hit that play in the FanFest platform and the tweet will play out for you on screen.
Is it time for a fit check? I'm so excited for today's fit check.
It's time for a fit check. Have you guys noticed anything yet? I'm going to say Corey made me do it, okay? Oh, we're doing the back-to-back pose.
Also just wanted the Fearless. Just in case you guys need some splits today, I got watches on my shoe.
I didn't put my shoes on. Y'all know I don't like shoes, but I shouldn't say I don't like shoes, but
disclaimer, we are not AKAs.
Come right off.
Pink's Natasha's favorite color and green's my favorite color. But unfortunately, when we went to Nordstrom, the only size available was for my size was available in pink, her size was available in green, and we had to do it for you guys.
Just for you guys.
I love a jumpsuit. And it's time to Ollie pop it. I'll pour yours. today's is root beer. And let's get into this predictions review. Brought to you by Hustle Clean.
Yes.
Do you want to do the Hustle Clean thing while I
Hustle
pour?
Clean is a mission-driven self-care brand for the active lifestyle. Products are sold nationwide in Walmart and Target. It's athlete and Black owned. Go to hustleclean.com and use our code TS for a 10% discount. Thank you.
Maybe I should
Are you going to say your slogan?
get in the hustle and get clean. Maybe I should just from now on just do the Hustle Clean thing. I just feel like I do it better.
Cheers to the Olipop root beer.
First of all, we were wrong. I was trying to find I guess they've changed the rules and you are allowed to switch all 4 legs. So we were able to get the women's
The dream team that we wanted.
Yeah.
But so y'all know, we don't get to respond to everybody, but we do see the comments and DMs but we just don't have time.
No, someone
no
called
shade
us out.
to nobody, but somebody was like, y'all criticized me when I said such and such team. And I'm like, what show were you watching? Because we clearly said
multiple times
that
on
is
multiple
the 4
shows
that we want, but based on the rules that we thought,
the old rules where you could only switch out 2.
Right, we weren't sure based on what we were pulling up that you could switch out all 4. So we went based on what we thought was going to be the lineup.
And we also went online. It changed this morning, but online, the relay pool only had 6 girls.
6 girls, exactly.
And so from those 6 girls, we picked. But given that the relay pool was expanded and we could have 4 different legs, yeah, we wanted a thing, Sydney, Allison, and Delilah on the team. Clearly, I don't think there was any other option.
No other option. And I'm going a little bit off script, but I'm gonna throw it in there too. Somebody else said, "Why didn't you guys predict the women's 400?" Y'all.
The show is 2 hours.
If we did all the events, we would not be.
We'd be here for 6 hours.
Yeah.
It would be a 6-hour show, and we would never sleep. But
we did the best that we could to bring the best that we could. But anyway, we're gonna start off with the men.
We are?
Yeah, and then we're gonna
go back to the women.
We're gonna work our way up to the women's dream team.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to look it up because we came on live pretty quickly, but happy to see the men back on top of the podium for the 4x4.
What were you not able to look up?
To see, because I know in 12 we won silver.
Oh. Oh, when was the last time we won gold?
Yeah, and both men and women. But yeah, we were. Where are my notes? We ran Michael Cherry to Michael Norman to Bryce Deadman to Rai Benjamin. Unfortunately, we didn't get those splits just yet.
I'm looking.
But they came really close to the Olympic record, 255, which the Olympic record is 255.39, but our men ran 255.70. Rai Benjamin ran an amazing.
Speaking of that Olympic and world record, Michael Norman's coach Quincy was on that record-breaking team. So it's just funny how you see the older generation and the younger generation and moving the sport forward. I just wanted to point that out because Quincy, that's my dog.
Yep. Rachel said, not them being unhappy with anything and everything. Y'all have been fabulous. Thank you. We try our best here. And I see Jackie in the chat. Yay. Jackie's here.
Okay, heart still.
Then wait, not yet.
Wait, I'm trying to I got my cousin working his fixing this so I can make sure we're good.
We are not ready for you.
My cousin brought his laptop over.
If Jackie was to come on early and just completely,
that's fine.
It's fine.
That's fine. We're gonna roll with it. But
we're good. We just wanted to make sure, yeah.
Okay.
What I had yesterday wasn't working.
Okay. I hate to say this, can we take Jackie off the screen just for a couple more minutes?
How do we take the goat off?
But Or we can.
Okay, I think she muted.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That, well, I don't know what's happening, but I like it.
I
I
like it.
honestly like it.
Okay, so our men won in 255.70. Then we had the Netherlands. That was an emotional win for them. You could tell they were
they
like
broke a national record.
genuinely excited. They broke a national record in 257.18, and then Botswana came in third in 257.27. And was that an African record? Is that
Yes, it's area record. So
area record?
so it's
Yeah.
an African record. I have a little something special for you. I got the splits.
Oh, come through with the splits.
So Michael Cherry split 44-2. Michael Norman split 44 flat. Bryce Deadman split 44-01. And Ryan Benjamin came through with 43-40. So
yeah, Rye opened that thing up. I mean,
yeah.
the men were clearly ahead for a good portion of the race, but when Rye got the stick, he just
Whew,
took it to a whole nother level.
I'm on a new
So
level.
with that, let's get into the dream team. I love
Mhm.
that the dream team is now like a women's team. Like
Mhm.
it was said before, we said it about the trials, like the men are showing up and showing out, but the women are
Making
making
history.
history and just really showing out. And it was really exciting to see the dream team out there. We had Sydney leading off to Allison on that signature second leg, to Dalila, to Athing. We had a little bit of debate about what we thought the order should be, if it was going to be these four young ladies, but obviously they got it right. They went out there and did the job.
And
Sydney,
Aisha, I do agree that I'm sad that Quinera, like she had an amazing season, and like she won't be going home with a medal because of scheduling. She couldn't even run the prelims.
that's
But I'm very proud of her. She's an Olympic finalist, and
yeah.
we can't take that away from her.
Yeah. But Sydney led off in 50.21. Allison, second leg in 49.38. Talila Muhammad in 48.94. And Athing Mo, 48.32 on that anchor. And I mean, she just opened that thing up. Like,
yeah, they
we
were
were
going for
in
the
the
record.
lead from start to finish, but when Athing got that stick, when Talila got the stick,
Delula ran a great leg. Oh, I mean, everyone ran a great leg.
leg.
It's funny, every leg got faster.
And faster, yep. And what I love to see, we pointed out while we were watching the ladies' medal ceremony, each one of them had a medal from their individual. And, you know, we talk about like the 4x4 traditionally being chosen from the 400 pool. But to see that like this team was really, it was the right team.
Yeah.
But it also like Athing won the 800 and she set the American record, right? Sorry, it's been a long week. You know, Allison and the bronze in the 400, Dalila the silver, and Sydney the gold. It was just fun and exciting to see like these women came from different events. And although, you know, I'm like the 400 and I hate to see Quinera and Waddling left off the relays, but this truly was the best four to go out
and
there.
it kind of is like how a classic 4x4 college is, like, because you're not always going to have 400 girls when you're in school. And so you will bring, like I was 400 hurdler. I was always on the 4x4. We always had Stanford. We had a lot of good 800 girls. We always had a girl from the 800 coming up. You'd have some girls from the 2 coming up to 2 and 1 coming up to 4x4. Long jumpers with Florida, you see Christian Taylor. So the 4x4 is always like a little family reunion. Like, you know, you just kind of get a leg from where you can get it. But you know, it's funny because here I think everyone wants to go to the 4x4, but when you're in college, you're just kind of like, am I done with my meet or not? Because you're gonna get that tap from your coach. Be like, hey, we need a leg, and you got to be ready to go.
Yeah. And I see a couple of you mentioning in the comments, yes, if you run the prelims,
you get a medal.
You also get a medal. And again, what's new this time is 8 people get a medal as opposed to 6 in the past. So,
and there was almost a 4-second difference between gold and silver, like,
which was to be expected, right? Because if this 4 went out, we were expecting them to go after the world record.
Yes, and the world record, they were close. We ran. What did we not put the time?
We did not say the time.
Okay. Well, I'll pull that up. The world record is 3:15:17
by the Soviets.
We went 3:16:18. I want to say. I'll pull it up, but that's from my memory. But it was just an amazing, amazing race. And to see all those ladies on a podium, and every single one on the podium was actually an Olympic gold medalist.
Mhm.
If you can, not with Delilah's gold medal from last.
Yeah, from
So
2016.
yeah, we were in, sorry, 3:16:85. So just I love seeing greatness. I love it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let's not forget about the rest of the podium.
yes.
Jamaica was third in 3:21:24, missing McPherson actually due to a hamstring
Hmm.
injury from the Open 400. I loved seeing, I think it was McLeod on the end when she went to get her medal. She kind of did a little dance, and I was
Yeah.
like, I love to see it. I love to see the genuine excitement of
Hmm.
like, we did it. We accomplished something. Oftentimes couple of, you're there to do the praise dance was beautiful. You're there to take care of your job, be serious, and it's like, no, like we accomplished something, I'm gonna celebrate. And Poland was second in 3:20:53.
And I want to say with the women's 4x4, we both knew that USA was going to win. We got second and third wrong, both of us. But I'm going to give you guys this credit. We thought Poland was going to do a lot better than me and Whitney, but you guys had it right with the USA. I will say though, when I made my picks, it was based off the fact that I didn't know that you could switch all four legs. But
Yeah,
you
we
guys
all
won.
kind of went into it thinking that you had to, which no shade, and we got to go back and look at this, but were the other countries able to make that kind of switch?
I don't know if they had the depth to make that kind
Right.
of. I'd have to look to see how many legs were switched
Yeah.
from the prelims to the finals. But I
And
feel
and we
like
should also point out that, Allison came off of running the 400 yesterday and coming onto the relay,
still ran a
and still ran
killer
a killer
leg.
leg.
Like I told you she would.
Yeah. And that that being something to consider when looking at, the 4x4 and how, like, the 400 was so close to the 4x4.
Yeah. Let's get into the rest of these finals. It was we had the women's marathon going on yesterday afternoon. It if you were on track Twitter, everyone was so excited. Molly Seidel, she got a bronze. This was her third marathon
Ever
ever.
in life.
And if you were watching, it was like the Japan's heat is not just the heat because they're in the 80s and 90s, which isn't crazy.
It's the
It's the
humidity.
humidity, and so you saw the girls like dousing themselves with water, putting water on their armpits,
There was at
and
one point, a Kenyan runner had, like, ice in her bra.
I do that during practice
Yeah.
because you want to keep your core temperature down. And so like your neck, your under armpits, and your chest. You got those are in like the back of your neck.
Mhm.
Those are good places. If you're ever working out and you're hot, try to cool down those places, and it will help you your body, your
To
core body
cool down.
temperature come down. But
I thought it was also cool they were sharing how back in 2004,
mhm,
she had, like, written out that she's gonna win the Olympics, and yeah, to kinda see that all
manifestation.
come to fruition.
Because the thing is, kids like I always said like I want to be Olympian or I want to be a professional
Mhm,
athlete, and like the 1% of the 1% that actually gets to be an Olympian,
mhm,
it's like saying as a little kid I want to be a superhero.
mhm.
It's like okay, sure, but she actually like just stuck with this dream for years and years and years and made it come true. So I was dope to see gold and silver went to Kenya with Perez running a season best of 2:27:20. 26.2 miles and all right, in that heat, okay.
I ain't got
And,
time.
Brigid of Kenya ran 2:27:36 for season best, and Molly Siegel's time, I don't think I said it earlier, was 2:27:46. So, great, great running, like, the marathon is always just a test of fortitude and strength. I
Mhm.
always say that, like, that is a distance that, historically speaking, a man died doing. A man in ancient Greece was a messenger. He died running that distance, and we said, "Let's make this a competition." I will never understand that. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, we should also point out that, as this tweet points out, she's the first American medalist in the women's marathon since 2004 and only the third ever.
on her
So
third ever marathon.
that's a feat. Okay, we're going back to the relay. Charmaine G says when the athletes just got to Tokyo, they changed the rules and only wanted 5 in the relay pool because of COVID protocols. I know Jamaica had an issue with it because their top 3 women were all in the 100, 200, so they complained that it was too much workload to not be able to change out. I'm sure others complained too, and maybe that's why they went back to being able to change out all 4 athletes that was established in 2019. Thank you for that, Charmaine, because there was a lot of confusion where it was like, we heard that you can switch out 4, but we're only seeing 6 in the pool, but that makes sense
Yeah.
that wanting it even makes sense when you bring COVID
COVID
into
into
the
it.
equation. So yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
The women's 10K.
Safan.
Someone, thank you, whoever did the math and figured out she was running 61.5 laps during this Olympics, which is insane to me, but Hassan, to do that triple
Yeah.
and to get 2 golds and
one
then 1 bronze, I run the 15, 5K, and the 10, like, stop. And shout out to Jeffrey Kane.
Thanks for the super chat.
She ran 29:55:32 to get the gold. And then Kilkadan from Brunei. She got second with 29:56:18, and Giddy from Ethiopia ran 30:01:72 for the bronze. And Gidey was actually leading the race. Savon, just stayed in the front of the pack, and then she outkicked everyone. I think it really comes down to she has that 1,500-meter speed, unlike the rest of these 10K girls. Something interesting to note is that 5th place was Francine from
Neon Saba.
And you probably saw her. Hi, Jackie. You probably saw her. She looks so cute. She's distracting. You've probably seen her a lot in the 800. She got second in the last Olympics and second at Worlds, but due to her having too high of natural testosterone, she could not compete in the 4 and the 8, and then she was also disqualified in the 5K. But she ended up setting the national record, moving all the way up to the 10K. Can you imagine going from the 800 to the 10K? Nope. And because she's not allowed to run in her chosen event. So amazing race from her.
I want to comment on this because I admittedly not sure of the answer to this, but what I don't like to see is almost kind of like, not kind of like, it seems like games being played with them, where it's like, you can't do this, but you can do this, and I
don't think it solves the problem. You're just moving
the problem
to a different event and having to deal with it over here instead of it in the 800. You're just dealing with it.
I don't like it. From again, I don't know the answer. I think if their testosterone is naturally high and there's nothing, what are we supposed to do with that?
Because if they're allowed to compete, they should be allowed to compete in whatever event they want to. Right. Because at the end of the day, the only reason you're saying you can't compete in the 4 and the 8 is because these girls have been competing in the 4 and the 8. So you have data from in the 4 and the 8. But you see, they're still competitive in the 2. They're still competitive in the 10K and in events they didn't even really train for. So obviously, like, there is some advantage there. Yeah. You have to figure out what is a global solution to this problem, but not. I don't think the solution is you can't run in this event or can't run in that event.
Is it a global solution versus, like, when we talk about,
when I say global, I mean universal. Like,
universal. For all events. I get what you mean, but like when we talk about, like, Michael Phelps was born with, like, his wingspan was just crazy, and that was an advantage that's what he was born with. He can't help that. And in this instance, these women are born with natural testosterone that is like, on the surface, just plain old period, it's unfair to the rest of the women. But some people are born naturally with, I don't know the answer to it. I don't. But I don't like, at the end of the day, I always come back to, these are human beings.
Yes.
And I don't like feeling like games are being played with human beings.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm just like,
I don't know. Let's be clear. We probably have higher testosterone levels than the average woman, and that's probably why we're athletes. Like, we have something that has made us better, some given talent, because hard work beats talent when talent works hard, but hard work plus talent makes Olympians, makes elite athletes. At the end of the day, you need some God-given gift to be an elite athlete. And if that God-given gift is testosterone, I don't know. I don't know
I don't
what,
know the
because
answer.
do I want to go head to head with these girls?
No.
No. Do I want them,
Just
their
being
dreams to be
honest.
taken
Taken
away?
away.
No.
No.
I don't know what the solution is.
I don't know.
High jump, the women's high jump was a great competition. Maria from the Russian Olympic Committee jumps 2.04 to get the gold. 2.04 meters is about 6'8" and some change. So, you know, they're barely getting over my bun because I'm so tall.
Uh-huh.
An Oceania area record was set by Nicola McDermott from Australia. She jumped 2:02 meters, and Yaroslava, I'm not going to say her last name because I don't want to be disrespectful, jumped 2 meters to get third. It was a real battle towards the end. And shout out to Vashti.
It was so much of a battle that they ran like late. They were saying in the men's 4x4 podium ceremony, they said traditionally this is the last medal ceremony, but the high jump has gone on so late that they will actually be the last medal ceremony. And
shout out to Vashti, my style idol, 1.96 to get the 6th place spot. The men's javelin, Neeraj Chopra from India got the gold with 87.58 meters. Jakub Valech from the Czech Republic through 86.67 season best, got silver. And Vyacheslav Vesely from the Czech Republic got 85.44 season best. There were no U.S. men in the javelin final. So, and then to round out our last event that we wanted to talk about was the men's 1500. Jacob from Norway.
I was like, what's wrong? And then
you look at me. Jacob from Norway, he's only 20 years old. He set an Olympic record with 3:28.32. He ran a great race. Silver medal was Timothy Cheruiyot from Kenya. He's the reigning world record holder. He's from Kenya. He brought Timothy brought the field through at 1:52 at 800, and he led most of the race, but he just got out-kicked by Jacob. Jacob ran a very, very strong finish, and Josh Kerr from Great Britain ran 3:29.05 for a PB. Our top U.S. finisher was Cole Hawker. He ran a PB of 3:31.40 for 6th place, and we know that the reigning Olympic champ, we talked about this yesterday, was not in the mix because he did not make it to the final due to that very, very fast second heat. And so he could not get a qualifying mark into it. But
also, I want to honorable mention the display of sportsmanship after the finish of this race. Tim Cheruiyot gave Jacob, Kanika is correcting our pronunciation in the chat there, gave him a bracelet at the end of the race, I guess as a sign of congratulations and friendship, either or. I thought it was a pretty cool show. There it is, show of sportsmanship. And not something that we see very often, especially Tim being, the reigning world record holder to, give him that congratulations. I thought that was pretty dope. Very classy, yes.
Yes. So overall, a great Olympic. We have one more event, men's marathon, but overall, like world records left and right. Fast track, fast times, amazing performances.
Despite COVID.
We're gonna have to talk to probably the most amazing performer
ever.
Jackie, we're gonna bring you in, but first I have to talk you up. I'm only gonna talk about your pro stuff because if we went to what you did in college, we'd be here all day. But we're gonna be talking to Jackie Joyner-Kersee. My cheeks are already hurting from smiling so hard. UCLA grad. She has been called the greatest athlete of all time, and that is a fact. When it comes to the Olympics in 1988 in Seoul, she got gold in the heptathlon, gold in long jump. The 92 Barcelona games, she got gold in the heptathlon, bronze in the long jump. In 84 in Los Angeles, she got silver in the heptathlon. And in 96, she got gold in the long jump. In World Championships, she has in 87 Rome, she got gold in the long jump, gold in the heptathlon. In 91 in Tokyo, she got gold in the long jump. In 93, she got gold in heptathlon. She's the world record holder in the heptathlon with 7,291 points. She also has the heptathlon best in the long jump, so that's a high score for a single event. When she jumped 7.27 meters for 1,264 points. Greatness is among us, guys.
Excellence is the
She
standard.
looks so good with this hair, these glasses,
And wearing pink.
and wearing pink to track her summer. I just want to thank you. Yesterday, she was on here working out some technical difficulties, and I appreciate you for coming on our little show. Oh, hi,
Showing the
Jackie.
presence of greatness.
Hi. How you guys doing?
I'm
Good.
great.
How are you?
Oh, and thank you. I'm so really happy for the two of you. And when Natasha texts, I'm like, "Is this still your number?" Yes. You know.
Listen, we've had some amazing guests, but we were like, Jackie is the finale. We're not putting Jackie anywhere else. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you were traveling this week and you had a long travel back and you took the time to work out the tech issues, and we're just humbly grateful for you to take this time today. So thank
Oh,
you.
yes.
We'll get into it.
We're gonna get to. I would like to tell my Jackie's story, and it's real quick, and then you can tell your Jackie's story. My dad actually was like, I'm surprised you didn't post in like 3rd grade for like career day, what you wanted to be. I dressed up as Jackie Jonah Kersey. Jackie, you're probably the reason why I am a hurdler, because when I started track, I didn't start track until middle school, but I had played every single sport before that. And so I was like, well, I did all these sports. I'm gonna do all the events. I'm gonna be the next Jackie Joyner Kersey. And so I started off as a 15.8 multi-girl, and then I realized I had to run the 800, which I did not like, but I fell in love with the hurdles. And I don't think anyone, given my stature, would have been like, hey, try this event. I always say it was love at first flight when I found the hurdles, and it was all because I was out there trying to be you.
Well, you have done amazingly, throughout your career, and I am so honored and humble, and I just love the sport, and whatever I could do to be an inspiration to anyone and everyone. I try not to take that for granted.
Always a true.
Well, speaking of inspiration.
So my Jackie Joyner Kersey story is from my junior year of college. I wonder if you even remember this, Jackie. So I came into the U.S. Championships as the world number 1. This was after winning NCs, setting the collegiate record. Well, no, I lied. I did it there. But after the semi-round, Dee Dee Trotter had actually beat me in the semi-round, and I got second. And so I was in the stands visiting with my family. And I'm leaving the stands, going back to the warm-up area. And I don't know if I had this dejected look on my face or what, but you literally stopped me. You put both hands on my shoulders and said, "You got this. You're okay." And I was like, "This is Jackie Joyner Kersey." "Okay, yes, ma'am." I was like, Jackie Joyner Kersey knows who I am. Yes, ma'am. And I went on to place second and go to Osaka for the World Championships. But that is a memory that has always lived with me, that like, oh my God, Jackie Joyner Kersey believed in me and was like, "You got it, you're okay." So again, always a class act, always encouraging. And then of course we've had a relationship since then. We're always checking out each other's fashions. Jackie is a fashionista and loves her Chanel, honey.
And I think we're all in a very special club. If you've been coached by Bobby, you've been through something.
Jackie.
Yeah.
We won't get into it. We're gonna get into it. But speaking of a fashionista, Jackie's a trendsetter. I have her book right here, A Kind of Grace, available anywhere you can purchase books. But I was going through the book, and I don't know if you guys can see, before COVID hit, Jackie was out here in a mask, okay?
Yeah.
So we all complaining about a mask. she was wearing this mask during an 800. Can you? And I was my mom. She's not an athlete at all. Sorry, mom. But one thing I'm very thankful and grateful to my mom was like my mom always found she loves books and she always would find a book of a black woman of something that we are interested in. And so my sister Kelly, she has asthma, and my mom would be like, this black woman was the best athlete in the world with asthma. You can do it. And my sister ended up playing D1 soccer. But you were always in our house being talked about because she's like, asthma did not stop her. Can you just talk about that a little bit? I know you've talked about it before, but
And I want to point out, some of you might have missed it, but she took a puff at the beginning. I saw you with your ass. So please talk.
Yes. I just want to first just say to Natasha, because she had done so well on the collegiate, had set the national record, and I also had went to their banquet, that year, and I just knew she was destined for greatness, and she was just coming off a real, because you guys know NC2As are hard. So it's like you at one peak, then you got to go peak for our Olympic trials and, or our nationals to try to make it. And so I've always just wanted to give encouraging, not trying to invade people's space, but just let them know, that people are watching and I want the best, for you. And so, but now going into with the asthma.
I would just like to say, you can invade my space anytime.
Anytime.
Before I was diagnosed as being an asthmatic, a freshman in college, it was extremely difficult, because I didn't know what was going on, and times I was struggling, and then I started to doubt myself because I started thinking, maybe I'm only good in the state of Illinois, not California, just all kind of things. And then once I found out what was happening, I still didn't accept the fact that I was an asthmatic, because if you could run, jump, throw, doing what I was doing, coming up, they said, oh, you had asthma, you couldn't do any of that. But my attitude was that, no, I'm not going to let this get the best of me. And I had to take real baby steps, because I truly lived in denial. And it was the wrong attitude to take, because I didn't know how serious it could be for me as far as my life, and not playing around, not knowing when I couldn't breathe, that maybe that is escalating an asthma attack. Because I had never had an attack before. I just thought when I couldn't breathe, sit down. Like my mom say, sit down, stop playing so hard, and then everything would calm down. But I learned the hard way when I did have my first attack, and it was like someone or something was controlling my body, and I wasn't accustomed to not being able to control what I wanted to do.
I feel like we keep hearing this theme of like being told or having and I'm thinking about Aries when you have this life-threatening condition, but you're like, I gotta do this. This isn't gonna stop me. I'm gonna figure out how to work through this.
And then you not only had to do one event, you were doing 7. So how did you even manage training for all those events?
So with Bobby, we all have trained with him, and Bobby's very hard nosed, because I wanted to just long jump at times, and he would say, "No, you have to athlete," and the long jump was the one I wanted to work on the most, and he was like, "That is the least of your problems. You need to work on the high jump, the javelin, and the 800 meters." I didn't want to do those, but we would really focus around where I could be, where my opponents probably could get the best of me. So high jump is very technical. And even though I would jump well, but it really required me to really focus a lot, because I wasn't a good high jumper. And I jumped pretty well, but I wasn't consistent like I should be. And then the javelin was technical as well. Sometimes if we line up in a straight line, I could do well, but if we line up in an angle, then I'd be throwing out the sector, And then the 800 meters, it was always about the conditioning, making sure that I got my road work in along with the work that we would do on the track. And so that was the combination of really focusing on the events that I could be very vulnerable as far as, and when I say vulnerable, I didn't ever want to give my competitors the upper hand. I never really wanted them to know if I was injured when I was injured, because it seemed like then they get like, oh yeah, I got her, you know. So, but sometimes it was just, uh, I couldn't stop that.
The mind games of it.
In the I feel like we always have to represent like I am invincible.
Mhm.
Because it is, because also I feel like with the multis, you're not only seeing your competitors in the call room, you're seeing them all day long.
For 2 days. Yeah.
So
Yes, you see
I
them for 2 days, and you know you have really respect for one another, but you pretty much know uh, what a person can do. You might see it by the numbers, and the numbers might be the total points. But then when you start breaking it down, I knew that I didn't have a lot of space to not execute well in the high jump. I needed to make
Mhm.
sure that if I'm a 188 or 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" jumper, I better stay consistent at that, because whenever if I jump 6 feet and my competitors jumping 6'2", 6'3", that put me down 200 points. And that, you know, I didn't want to give my competitors that edge. It's not that I focus on it, but I just focus on execute. That wasn't my philosophy. That was Bobby's philosophy. Bobby and I, we were fight. I mean, literally fight, because he wanted me to be working this high jump and I want to work the shot put, which you don't get a whole lot of points. And so, but I learned.
And I have a lot of questions about Bobby. You already know. But the first is, you and Bobby are, your family is track related, because you got you, Bobby, you got Al, you got Flojo. So can you explain how that family tree works so people can
Yeah.
understand? And then what, I want to know what
Just
Thanksgiving and
what?
Christmas is just like.
Right. Exactly.
So before we became the family outside of my brother and myself, brother and sister. So I went to UCLA. Bobby was coaching Florence and several other athletes at Cal State Northridge. And then Bobby came over to UCLA as one of the assistant coaches. Florence and several of the athletes followed him over to UCLA. So my freshman year, as I'm traveling to Arkansas to see my brother, you know, like you have pictures of your teammates and everything. So I got these pictures, a picture of me and Florence and some of the other teammates. And my brother's pointing out, he go, "Oh, I'm gonna marry her," and I'm like, "Boy, you're not even her type," you know.
Come on, Al. Come on, Al.
And he was like, "Oh, okay," you know. I didn't even think twice about it, you know. So then I go back to California with training. You know, 84 comes around, and my brother leaves Arkansas to come out to California, and he move in with me, and we're all training. But unbeknownst to me, that him and Florence, you know, because they had secret code names, which is crazy. Had secret code names because I'm little sister, and you know I'm too nosy in their opinion. So they would go to the movies and all of this, and I'm like, "Who are you going out with? You don't even know anybody out here, you know." So they would go to the movies, and then finally, we start putting two and two together, you know, because they were just friends. But then Bobby and I, we're still coach athlete, but we were real close, you know, because at the time I was dating this guy, and you know he ran, but we just didn't get along. You know, he was like, he think he was going to run me and tell me how to, you know, my life should be led, and I'm like, oh, that won't be happening, you know. And that was one of the great things about my brother coming and moving with me, you know, because I was paying the rent, you know, and I didn't, you know, and I told him, I said, well, after this, I don't care. You could stay in this apartment, but after the Olympics, I'm gone, you know, like that.
Now you paying this rent. Now you paying this rent, Jackie. I like that. You can keep the apartment, but I'm out. You can't keep me.
Right. You know, because we just didn't, his goals were different than mine. And, you know, he was, uh, it was someone that, you know, I really thought, you know, we were a great match, but then he caught the red measles, and, you know, he was really very talented. And And I don't know, I call myself, I get on a bus going out to San Diego to see him and doing all these things. And he just didn't work out. And so, and eventually, this was 84. And then I went back to school. And then Bobby and I, we had talked about our friendship, because I could tell that he liked me and I liked him, but we couldn't really, say we liked
I'm
each
a,
other.
I'm gonna have to pause you, and I hate to cut because I was telling Jackie, if you don't buy this book for anything other than chapter 19, okay?
You think
Chapter
spilling the
19
tea
is called
now?
Baseball, Hot Dogs, and a Proposal. I read this book a long time ago, and I always, when I talk to Jackie, I say, read chapter 19. Okay, chapter 19 is where
She pulled this book off my shelf yesterday and was like, "I need you to read this part. Read this part."
there's
Oh my
an amazing life, but chapter 19 stopped me in my tracks. Okay,
God.
19 is talking about how Bobby proposed to Jackie.
Yes.
And I had to read it multiple times to make sure I was reading correctly. And knowing Bobby, it makes sense. But
It all
I need
makes
Jackie to
perfect
break down
sense.
this proposal.
Mhm.
Yes.
So buy the book and read chapter 19 for yourself.
Yeah, because we're actually driving from St. Louis back to California. And Bobby, we wanted to stop and see the Astros because it was Astro game. And we're sitting there, and then he's asking me, about, because I'm not really a hot dog person. I'm like, okay, but when you like somebody, you're like, okay, I nibble on a hot dog too. So anyway, he says to me, I'm thinking about, getting married, and I'm like, well, yeah, you'll be a great guy for somebody. And at the same time, I'm like, you got your nerve gonna talk to me about some other woman, you know? and, and then he says, I think he said something like, no, go ahead, I'm talking about you. Yes,
Now,
we were
mind you,
literally
dated, no kiss, no hand
no,
holding. He
right.
just
Yes,
nothing. I'm talking about
right.
you being my wife.
Yeah, because it was more about we had such a great friendship and a bond that we truly understood each other because Bobby, uh, prior to, he had relationship problems. I had relationship problems. We would, just talk, and but not knowing that because we said that if we were going to take this a step further, that it couldn't interfere with our friendship, and so and that was it, because that's Bobby, though, that I think he thinks that's, romantic because, he would send me all these different kind of flowers, and,
Oh yeah,
and
That's
different kind of, yes, and now I'm allergic, right? But he was send it. It was just a gesture, that's like
what
after 92,
we're like at the Olympics or it was the World
92.
or something. He brought flowers down and you like knocked them away, and people were like, "Oh, there's drama." And Jackie was like,
I
"No, no, I'm allergic to flowers."
Yeah, because it was like a dozen of roses. Now,
Huh?
mind you, I just ran the 800. I could barely breathe on my own. And he's like, here. And I'm like, I don't want them. I can't even breathe. Where's my inhaler? That's what I need. And the
I'm
next thing I knew, people were like, oh, that's trouble in paradise. I'm like, I can't breathe.
so he says, Knucklehead, I'm talking about you. You say yes, y'all get married. Like
How
that.
long after that did y'all get married?
So that was like less than 7 months because that would have been July because we ended up getting married in January of 86. Yeah.
Now here's my next question because I love Bobby all the way down. Okay. However, after practice, I don't want to see that man. I don't want to see that man. I don't want to hear. Everyone knows you don't answer Bobby's phone call after dark. I'm not answering Bobby's phone
That's
call.
right.
Okay, and you got to go with him. How is that? How did you guys balance coach athlete? Because I'm like I might go home and want to eat something, and Bobby's gonna be there.
Well, she
That's not.
said they had hot dogs, so
Yeah.
maybe
No.
that,
I don't know. Or
that was a different kind of
you need to
Bobby
be
that I
stretching.
knew, but
Right. But
Bobby can.
oh
yeah,
yeah,
Bobby, he when we first got together married wise, we lived in Long Beach, California. And in Long Beach, we had a makeshift garage that was turned into an office that was attached to the main house. So we had whatever we would call that the mad room. So we would everything that we disagreed on, we had to take it. We talked about it outside of the main house. And so when we had a disagreement, I was the one that was always pushing the envelope. Like I need to see the video. I want to see this, because when you're in the 405 freeway and you're in the car with Bobby, it's no air. It's almost like, and he just going 90 miles a minute. And I'm like, I'm rolling the window down like his voice can escape through the window, but you have nowhere to go. And so by the time we would get home, if we had to continue it, it would go inside the mad room, we would call it. And then we would leave out of the mad room with we agree to disagree, but in the end we end up agreeing and then come into the house, and because we didn't want that kind of, if it was negative energy we would call or aggressiveness, to be in the main house.
That sounds like a marriage tip, period. Like
are the best
forget-
at
yeah.
compartmentalizing,
Mhm.
and that makes so much sense because I'm like, I ain't no way I could be coached, but I feel like we see it a lot. Like my coach and his wife, they were coach and husband wife, but I don't just.
But
Yeah,
I like
and we learned
like
to
I like that it's first of all you talked it out and it was
Boundaries.
either we agree
exactly
or we agree, but it stays here. And
right.
I'm telling you, that sounds like marriage advice. Besides, like coach athlete.
The mad room.
Yeah.
I
Well,
like.
yeah, we call it, the mad room, but and it really it allow you to also respect one another too, because I think sometimes that I, I I would just I call it overstepping because I felt like, you know, hey, you talking to your wife, when he's talking to the athlete of the wife,
That makes sense.
or but I had great teammates around me that would remind me, Jackie, you tripping, so it would make a big difference, on the track, because I would challenge, and but the key was always remaining coachable and respecting Bobby as my coach, even though he was my husband, but not confusing the roles. And sometimes you could, because I come out there and you know but I knew that he could bring the best out of me, so
Mhm.
That's one of the things too that I always like to mention, that like I think people from the outside looking in would say, Bobby has a way. But one thing that I keep at the core, and even to this day, I believe that Bobby, whatever comes from Bobby, he has your best
Best interest.
interest at heart.
And I feel
yeah,
like that's the most important thing for a coach. And then also,
Mhm.
Bobby's a mad scientist. Like sometimes you don't understand what he's doing, but like he knows the best of his athletes.
Mhm.
Like
yes,
he's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that
So
go ahead.
no, you go ahead. You just start.
No, I was saying it's great you put it that way, because I think sometimes that Bobby's exterior, uh, people confuse with how he is internally, which he's a very thoughtful and really giving person,
Yeah.
but he has this, that look like he don't want to be bothered, one, he don't like people to touch him, no way. But anyway, but he's really, really a softy on the inside. He really is, So
I might tell a secret. The way Bobby cares about his athletes and gets so nervous for his athletes is Bobby is walking. If you see Bobby at a major championship, day, night, Bobby walks miles because
yeah,
he's so
That's
pinned
him
up and
working it
worried.
off.
He gotta walk around sometimes if he can't go for a walk outside, he's walking around the hotel. But
yeah.
Bobby walks because he
Oh
cares
my
so much about
gosh.
his athletes. He has to get
Yeah.
that nervousness out.
Oh yeah, because that's that anxiety, and I always try to help him, tell him that, to calm down, but he only want me to be around because he's out talk too much, and
Bobby told you talk too much.
yeah,
Bobby talk too much.
right. He like,
Bobby's but he was
yes,
right.
but then when he
Right.
wants to talk, he can call you, and Bobby would be on the phone literally for 10 seconds. But when he want to talk, and you try to you got something to do, it's like, I'm like, when you been long winded? I gotta go do something. Yes.
Speaking of thoughtful, giving parts. You and your husband are the same because you have the Jackie Jordan Kersey Foundation. You are a co-founder of Athletes for Hope. I'm a part of Athletes for Hope, and
Same.
it's like it's given us opportunities to give back to our community. But I feel like, Jack, you were always doing something to help somebody, and I would just love to hear about your foundation, about Athletes for Hope, and like your, I guess, maybe philosophy on like giving back to the community.
So, I started my foundation work 1988, but the creation and the concept came about early on because I came through a community center when I was younger, and it was right in my neighborhood, uh, and then as I evolved and grew athletically, that my freshman year in college, unfortunately and unexpectedly, I lose my mom to the worst form of meningitis, and so I had to travel back home. And my brother being the oldest, I was the oldest girl. I have two younger sisters. That a lot of responsibility was put on my shoulder, and so when we made the decision, to take her off the life support, that I wanted to go to a place where I felt that people could uplift my spirit and really just pour love into me in a sense. And it was at the center I grew up in. And when I went to go to that center, I went to try to open the doors and saw padlocks on the doors. So then I just started thinking, where do the young people go? And that was in 1981. And so as I went back to school, and uh, the thought was always maybe I could reopen that center, but didn't know that it would take resources, money to do all of this. And so I'm like, okay. But then I make my first Olympic team, go back to school, finish up, graduate, then make my second Olympic team. And then the sponsors that I work with, I always told them that I really want to do stuff in my community. I want to rebuild a center or open a center. And finally, I got the land to build the Jackie Jordan Kersey Center. But prior to that, in '88, I was a part of the Macy Day Parade. We took 110 students to the Macy Day Parade. We chartered an airplane and took them to New York. And they were people that's part of the History Club, Honor Society, my church, and the different schools I had gone through. And so it was very important for me to expose them to New York City, and so they could see beyond our own boundaries, or and inspire them to dream the impossible dream. And so one of the young ladies who was someone I still mentor today, that Alicia Reeves, who became a lawyer, eventually was the executive director of my center, and has gone on and continues as motivational speaker and do a lot of great things. And so when '96 rolled around, I broke ground on the Jackie Jordan Kersey Center. I remember that because that's the same day we were training. I ended up pulling my hamstring. Now I got to go over here and smile because I got the Olympics in 2 weeks. But this exciting news about building the center all coming together. We opened the Jackie Jordan Kersey Center in 2000. Uh, we do after school programming. We use sports as a hook to get them in the door. They go through my Winning in Life curriculum based around 14 different principles that came out of the autobiography of Kind of Grace. We have our STEM. I have a dream room. We work with a reading specialist to try to make sure our kids can read at grade level, because everybody's into STEM, but if they can't read, they don't even understand what that is. We have agriculture, part of what we're doing. Got raised beds on we call our campus in a sense, but we partner with the Park District where we have a greenhouse, and our students are learning where food comes from. And ultimately, we want to build an innovation center around food and nutrition. We partner with Head Start, uh, which that becomes a revenue source for us, because when we built in 2000, the building was 41,000 square feet. So we add an additional 20,000, which built 8 classrooms for Head Start. And unfortunately, with COVID, that 2019, we were going to open up the JJK Academy. So the students that was in Head Start, we're going to start first and second grade. So this fall, we're looking to do that and just starting off with 18 kindergartens and 18 first graders to make sure they don't lose, they stay on that learning curve and preparing them to get ready and go into, the school system. So we do transportation, uh, get them meals, uh, really just try to make sure that we are a resource in the community, but do what we can and not try to extend ourselves beyond the things that we can't collaborate and find partners that might do it better than us. But how can we work together? And when you talk about Athletes for Hope, when we initially founded and came with Athletes for Hope, it was really to help people have a platform, because all of us have passion, but we don't really know where to go to try to take it to the next level, and being able to have those resources to be able to support, you know, uh, people's passion, and so that's part of the foundation and Athletes for Hope.
Here at Track Girl Summer, we say that like we're fans of the athletes, but more importantly, we're fans of the people. And I think that this is especially why we wanted to touch on this, because one of the things that I always remember about you beyond your athletic prowess is that your lifelong goal was to go and give back to your community. And all of those things that you just listed that you are doing for your community, like you went home a lot of times, leave our communities, and you were like, no, I'm coming right back to the place that gave me my start, and I'm going to plant this seed and listen to how amazingly it's grown and continues to grow, and you continue to give back to your community and travel the world, and for the Jackie Joyner Kersey light all over.
And I just wanted to highlight that what I find so remarkable is that this came out of your grief. Like you said, you lost your mother and you went to the center, and the one place you thought was going to bring you a little bit of joy was closed, and you took that. And a lot of people, I feel like, wouldn't turn that into all that you have turned it into. And to be like, you're going through something, and your response was to turn around and give to your community and give to so many. I just think it's beautiful, and it's a testament to your heart, because you're just a giving person, and you're a light in this world. And I just want to thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And I just want to add, I wouldn't be able to do all this if I didn't have the support, like with Bobby, because he knew how important it was for me to be home. And because I would tell him that our young people got to be able to touch, see me, talk to me, because they don't think it's possible. And I know how important coaching is to him. So a lot of time it would keep us apart, but we never lost sight of the ultimate goals of what we were trying to achieve. Because I say it would be selfish of me to pull you away back here so you can't coach the athletes. So yes, you could come here for a training camp, but more importantly, it all works together, in trying to help us all achieve our dreams and our goals.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that would not understand. My husband's in LA, I'm in St. Louis, but you guys clearly both have a like passion and purpose and a gift, and I think it's beautiful that
In
you
respect of the individual passions and purposes and gifts.
Oh yeah, and believe it or not, now I needed that break from Bobby. Sometimes I had, sometimes y'all know, be like, oh no, I missed the cooking, but but anyway, yeah.
Speaking of which, I do want to bring it back. This is a great topic, but I want to bring it back because I know I'm always a little bit confused about the overlap of like the training group with like your brother and Flojo and Bobby. And so like tell us a little bit about what that was like it being all in the family, but not really, but really in the family.
Right. So when we were, Bobby was good at spotting, working with talent, right? And so Florence was always, she wanted to do fashion stuff, the nails, all those kind of things. That was her total package. But then also, she was, me and her was like the workhorse for UCLA. But then once we went on the world class level, Florence was a banker. So Bobby pulled her back out the banking and was telling her, you have a career in this sport, but Florence was always about, to me, the entrepreneur trying to, do things, and which was good. And at the time, you didn't realize how inspirational it was, because sometimes when you're amongst your peers, we don't embrace each other and really help uh, uh, rise us up, because we're always talking about, I know there are women before me and all that, that's fine. But sometimes there's just people in your mix that you are motivated by how hard their commitment, their drive, and that becomes contagious within your circle. And that's how it was within our circle. But then, like in 88, when we went on and we were successful, but then Florence and my brother, wanted to really leave our team, and it was kind of it was heartbreaking, because it was like, well, we all in this together, and how we all have rised above. Now let's go show that unity. But then, with different agents and everything, so that was the really, in my opinion, a really at a moment of a high, but also a moment of what I would call a low moment, because here we had done something remarkable, and then all of a sudden, my brother Al, you know, Florence wanted him to coach her, which is fine, you know. But Al is no Bob Kersey. I'm just saying. But anyway,
Love it. I love it. I ain't got it. Love it. You better pray for your husband. The Bible says, please to your husband.
yes. Corey.
We got more questions.
Okay, all right. I have my question. Okay, we talk about how you an inspiration to the next generation of track and field. Wow, that took me for a loop, Jackie. But I wanted to ask you about 3 women into today's sports. First, I wanted to ask you, Tara. She broke your indoor and outdoor long jump record. I wanted to ask you how you felt about that and her pushing American jumps forward.
You know what? I think Tara, what she's been able to, well, first of all, her journey and her story is remarkable. And to have the tenacity and the willpower to endure, but then also to be in, with Edric and the whole team that really helped her to not, to help her to see her greatness on a whole nother level, and to
Yeah.
have that patience, and then now to see it all come together, and to see how uh, her jumping well indoors, breaking, my collegiate record and the national record, as well as the outdoor record. And I just I just wanted her to um, know that how much I admire her and appreciate her, and to know that she is the future of our jumping. It has been a long season, and what happened in the Olympic Games is not an indicator of her talents, because she will continue to jump far. I love her spirit. I love her spirit in life and as a competitor, and everything that she brings, the excitement to the jumps, is just really amazing on so many levels, and then just I mean, I just think she's a joy to watch, and every time I look at her jumps, I can say, she got that extension. See, most of these jumpers, they're sloppy, but she's gonna go far, and she will become uh the national outdoor furthest jumper, as well as an Olympic champion.
I'm just getting goosebumps because I'm just listening to the Jackie Joyner Kersey. That, first of all, is like you continue to be a student of the sport, continue to support the future generation. Like I just told my story where I was like, me, and then to hear you talk about Tara like this, it just speaks to your character and why
And
we love you so much.
and Mike, we were like, Mike, do you want someone to break your? Who do you want to break your record? He said nobody.
Nobody.
Jackie's like, I love to see it.
Yeah, because it's just like, when she broke the collegiate record, and to me, I love the fact that we don't put limits to what we can do. You know, people would tell us you can't do this, and you start to believe that. And what she's shown is that the consistency. That's why she's going to be, uh, she's going to be on the podium. You know, it was just a long season, and eventually, you know, the wear and tear, but still to be able to jump uh 680, 690 in the type of competition. Yeah.
And then I have two more athletes I want to ask you about. One is and we saw she's the second woman to defend her heptathlon Olympic title. The first, of course, being you. What are your thoughts on like the women's heptathlon and where it's going? And we also saw a lot of young American girls in the mix, not on the podium, but still very close. What are your thoughts on the women's heptathlon?
You know what? I just think that for the women's heptathlon, and when you look at, I look at NAFI, unfortunately, Katrina from Great Britain, you know, you look at Annie Coons and Kendall and Erica, all of them have the ability to be on the podium, you know, and that I think that these Olympic Games, you know, with the pandemic and everything, because I thought they would score 7,000, you know, I really did. Um, but even with the 6,700, but I just think that the heptathlon is booming, and our girls are coming along. I think that we need to change our system. I think we need to give the multi events the consideration like we give the marathoners, because I think it's extremely tough competing, you know, in a short window and trying to bounce back, because our Olympic trials is just such a high. And then the conditionings and the weather there was just wow, unbearable. And then all of a sudden, it takes your body probably a week to 2 weeks to really just come back down, and to see that uh, I think we have a very promising career. But I also know, you know, the Europeans are looking at that they don't talk about the world record, but hey, if you want to be the best,
Well, it's way out there because it's
you know,
6,700. It ain't close to 7,200. Okay.
yeah. But if you look at, see, everything is the numbers, and if you do the numbers right, so if you look at call it Nafi, right? Think about, she's a 2 meter high jumper now, which I was a 7 meter long jumper, right? But 2 meters in the high jump, even 198, 197. Her and Katrina from Great Britain, when those numbers, when they high jump well, that's when you're gonna see the high score. But they only jumped 190. Nafi went 192, I think. And then Katrina just had a real bad day, you know, coming off injury. And that's why I encourage our American heptathletes is that the key event is the high jump. If you heard me earlier when I said I didn't want to work that event, the one thing about Bobby, he studies. He studies the numbers, and this is what you got to do. It might not make sense at the time when he's telling me that, but in the end, it's the high jump.
Okay.
Okay. I like it.
And then
Well,
I have my last athlete I want to talk
sorry.
about.
I'm sorry.
I
I'm
know.
just excited.
I know the last athlete, you know, everyone knows I'm the president of our fan club, but I always talk about, I feel like I've been blessed because I've been in this, and so same with you, I've been in this lineage of amazing track athletes where you mentored Jackie or Joanna Hayes, and Joanna Hayes mentored Allison, and I learned to write down my workouts because that's what you did, and you taught Allison that, and so I feel like I've been getting gems from you because you pass it down to other athletes, and Allison's mentoring Sydney. So, and I see just you have been kind of like the matriarch passing everything down. But, you know, Allison just finished her historic career. She's done her career with.
Well, she didn't finish. We don't know if she's finished. Maybe her Olympic career.
Her Olympic
Maybe this
career.
was her last Olympics, but we don't know that she's retired because we're not going to put that into the atmosphere.
All right, I'm going to say that. Well, Allison has had one of the most amazing track careers ever. And I know that you have been a big part about mentoring her. And I just would love to know about that relationship, because it's sometimes nice to like I'm not talking to Bobby. I can talk to someone who understands what I'm going through, but you're not my coach, and you can just pour into me in a different way. And I would just love to hear your thoughts on that and y'all relationship.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to Allison, and oh my gosh, what she's been able to accomplish in her journey, just staying in the sport for a really long time at the very top, and for me to have a glimpse into that, or just being able to share, really some of the very high as well as the very low, and the consistency of the person never change. And to me, that is so remarkable, and it's a testament to her character. And no matter how great people say she is always, for me, the grace and the humility, and how she carry herself, but then also how she extend herself to others, to be able to share in the same space, and not allow anyone to feel less than, because others might try to make you feel that way. And it just, to me, it just says a lot about her, just as a person, as a mother, as an advocate, and just to see how she has evolved and grown into the woman that she would continue, to share with the rest of the world. And I just sit back in awe, and watching the 400 race, it just put me down in tears, because I know how tough it's been. And, you know, what she was going through, and trying to come back, and Bobby being sick, get on the flight, going to Detroit, just trying to really get her to this point. And it was just, a lot of people don't know. And so it just brought, tears, because I knew how tough it had been. And just to see her.
Right.
Jackie, do not
Yeah,
get
I'm sorry. Because even when I think about it, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and just pulling for her, and it was just really
Someone,
amazing.
I don't remember which one of our guests, but I think someone mentioned that the medals truly are won at home
that
before
was
we
me.
even go. Was it you? That the medals are won at home, and that is something that, like, the world gets to see Allison on the stage, but they don't get to see what's going on behind the scenes. And
Mhm.
we're saying 11 medals. It's truly 12, because Cammie, coming back from not just childbirth, a
Wow.
C-section, being told to stay in your place. I know my
In
place
my own shoes. I love
in my
that.
own shoes, and as you mentioned, we're not gonna put Allison's business out, but there were things behind the scenes that some of us know about, that she was still able to triumph through
Yeah.
and make
All right.
history, and just do it with grace and humility, as you
Yes.
said. Continue to pour out into some of her competitors, because I benefited from that child care grant. Okay. you know, and Allison and I were in our competitors, and she's still, there's the joke about, the women's 400. We weren't very friendly, but Allison was always one of those that, no
Yeah.
matter what, you knew what you were going to get. She respected everyone, including her competitors, and yeah, we
And
can't.
today is all about you,
You.
Jackie. I just wanted to bring up because it's like we see these great women, and I always say we stand on your shoulders. Like
Literally.
we literally stand on your shoulders, and
Thank you.
and I see a lot of Jackie and Allison, and I know it's because you have been, like I said,
Instrumental.
I write down my workouts because Allison said that Jackie told her that to write down her workouts. And yeah, track is an individual sport, but I want to show everyone the community that is there, the
Yeah.
love that is there, the generations pouring into the next generations, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. Tosh, you can
I'm
ask your
gonna ask
question
my
now.
last question, because
We,
we've kept the great Jackie Joyner Kersey for a long time, and it's about giving you your flowers. This might be a little bit shady, but I don't care,
yeah,
because we're asking you how you feel about other athletes, and this is kind of, what you feel about the generations to come. But nobody does the hip and then comes back and does the long jump.
No
Okay?
one's the star basketball player at UCLA,
And
then
models in both of them. So like,
and we've been talking to Gail and Mike Powell, and they were talking. I did 6 events at conference, 8 events at conference, and we're just like,
you couldn't pay me to do all of that.
and so we're trying to figure out
Like, are
whether
we just built different?
maybe it's like athletes are specializing, and that's why we're seeing these crazy times, or we just like was your generation just really about it and some real beasts and doing some things that we would never even consider, and it was nothing for y'all. And I kind of thinking that we ain't built like y'all.
We ain't built like y'all.
I thought I think I'm a thug. But let me tell you who's a gangster.
JJK.
Because she's not doing 2 events. You're not doing the Olympics and winning 2 events. You're doing 7 events and then coming over and saying, because everyone thinks the heptathlon's jack of all trades, average at everything. But you said, no, you long jump girls, y'all, this is the only thing you do, and I'm still better than you. I just need to know what you think.
You know what? In all honesty, I think that we didn't really have options. When I was in college, Bobby would tell me I had to, run the hurdles. I did the shopping. I had to run the 800 in one meet, these dual meets, right? But everything was based off, this is going to help you become a better heptathlete, right? And so, but I think that, like, if I train with Gail Divas, I'm like, if I'm running close to Gail, no other heptathlete should be beating me. If I'm running close to Valerie Briscoe Hooks and Jeanette and Florence now, then when it comes to 200, these heptathletes shouldn't be beating me. Now I'm the best in the long jump. I just have to make sure that I didn't get too stuck on myself and forget I got to execute, because I love doing that event. And then in the 800, it was like, okay, I'm just going to try to stay with them, do right for my training. And then when the javelin would come, so I would watch other heptathletes, and I'm like, golly, this little girl, she can throw that javelin there. I'm gonna try her javelin. Like, it's really gonna make a difference. But that's how I believe. I'm like, if she can throw that javelin 160 feet.
We only had 776 points, Jackie, and we used 900.
Yeah, so I was like, well, let me try to throw that javelin. That's why I think, Nafi from Belgium, she has all the tools. Now, I don't want her to break my record, but if she has the mindset, she can high jump 2 meters. She throw that javelin 180 feet. Those are some good points, in there. And she just get the long jump up there. But other than that, yeah, I don't think that we were built differently. I think that we were more like, don't tell us what we can't do. And that we weren't given a lot. Everything that we achieved, we had to earn. And I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. What I'm saying is that you think about when you guys were getting your contracts versus now, it's that we had to earn that. It wasn't off our potential, because off our potential, we can do X, Y, Z, right? But now it's like, no, you get the contract, and then the hunger is no longer there, and so I think with us, it was like, yeah, you go to Europe, and there's no way I would have gone to Europe and I had to pay my way over there. No, you want me over here, you better pay my way over here. Because you earned that.
Looking at the wrong way. That's facts.
That's facts. I say, like, the shoulders that we stand on. And that's why I've loved been doing the show, is to so you can break down what you guys really went through. So then when we complain about something, and it's like, but Jackie was out here doing X, Y, and Z, so that we could live a better life and not have to worry about contracts,
Right. And that was the whole purpose, especially for women. It was always, why pay us below when people in that state and they watching women perform too at the same level. I remember when I was competing against Heike Drexler in the long jump, and they wanted to pay me less. And I told Bobby, why? I say, you look at my record and you look at her record. I don't care where they put me. They could put me in front of her, behind her. I'm gonna be ready to jump. But you're gonna pay me the same. You're not gonna say that she's, And Bobby's like, you're right. I said, now go back in that meeting and you tell them, oh, I won't jump.
And I know Bobby did.
Yes, because they'll play them games with you and then start saying this, but they need me to be in the competition. And then what they would do is that when they had the golden, what was that? When they were doing them, at this time it was four meets they called the golden meets, right? And I didn't compete a lot in the long jump because I was training for the heptathlon. Because Bobby's like, don't get caught up in just long jumping and you're not getting your conditioning in, you're not doing the other thing. I'm like, okay. So they would bring me over for the Berlin meet, so because I think Heike was on the verge of winning the fourth, but then I ended up beating her, because they gave that 1 kilo gold or whatever. I should have been collecting all that gold back then, now that I know the value of it. Those gold bars they used to give.
We talk about a lot of, especially as Black women, taking up space, knowing you're doing it, and plus tax, and that's the example right there. You're saying like you need me for this meet.
Exactly.
I am the
right. That's why I hope eventually that as much as people love seeing our athletes compete on the Olympic, stage, is that sponsors and resources so we can have meets here on the American soil, which that can have competition against the European side, because they know this is where you can only make the money. But if we can create something here in America that will allow our athletes to compete here on the same type of scale, get the fans involved, get people behind it, that it becomes somewhat of a level playing field where they won't just pin each athletes against each other, say, I'm gonna pay you and not pay this person. Or you come over and then you run for bonus.
You said a couple of things, because it's very secretive. Like, I don't know what you're making, but if we know what the other person is making, that gives us more power to go in there and say, you don't get to pay her this and not pay me this, or pay,
Right.
We don't have that. And I think going back to listening to you and Edwin Moses and Mike Powell, like just the collectiveness of it all, that like, first of all, you need me to show up in this meet because
Exactly.
you don't meet without me. But
Right.
also, like, when one wins, we all win if we're able to come collectively and do it together. And I think that's really something that our generation truly is lacking, and one of the reasons why we're losing out, because we're allowing the meat promoters and in some cases, a lot of cases, the agents, to take advantage, because we as the athletes aren't coming together, and even as Americans demanding our worth and saying, hey,
we don't want to
right, and not letting them have you out there on your own. See, people like to have you on that island by yourself.
I don't want to put more on your plate, Jack, because you're out here saving the world, but I wouldn't mind having a St. Louis, American Track League, the JJK Invitation. Well, you already have.
You got that right.
I used to late, but we could have a JJK stop on the circuit, and you say, "Look, I'll come out and run."
You got that right. Yes, I love that. Bobby been talking about something. I see what he's talking about. We need to have it all over. Because the one thing I miss about track and field when they get rid of the Olympic Festival, I thought the Olympic Festival was great because they would go into small areas and then they would like sell out, because most of the time, little communities, they're not used to seeing world-class athletes, and they'll come out and they'll be appreciative. And it's packaged well, where they're talking about all the athletes, that you're going to meet, because we have to appeal to our grassroots. The grassroots program, you must continue to have fun and support, because we all come through those programs.
That's literally what we're missing, the grassroots marketing, because it makes no sense how track and field is the highest participatory sport, and we can't get the fans.
It's because
they don't even know about us as professional athletes.
I remember being in high school at the Mount Sac relays and losing my mind because Allison Felix was there, and my teammate was like, "Who?" And I was like, And I'm like, I get it. You don't know, because I'm a track fan. You don't know X, Y, and Z. You don't know this. You don't know Allison Felix. That's,
Come
like,
on.
come on.
Right.
There's no excuse for that. No
Um,
excuse.
But
And we have
I
to do a better job.
I think I think our sport has a lot of bright young stars. I think there's a lot of people committed to our sport, just like you, Jackie, and I see our sport moving forward. I feel like we're doing our little part with our show. We see a lot.
Nice.
We saw a lot in diversity in the media and how people present our story. So this is our little contribution. But I really say, is it our contribution or is it just my excuse to talk to my favorite track athletes?
It can be both. It can be both.
It's both. And just know that, you know, this will grow into something bigger and better because you all have access that other people don't. They love to have the access that you have.
Oh, thanks,
Thank
Jackie.
you, Jackie.
We appreciate you so much. We're not stop taking up.
Are we saying goodbye?
Are we? Because we have more
guess.
questions, but like,
We
Jackie's
gotta
very
be respectful of the
good
ghost
time.
time.
Like, she over here working on the technical aspect all yesterday. She put on the pink for Track Girl Summer.
She called in
She had a
this
little
morning.
bang. She had a nice little. And she bumped her at for
Yes.
us. Okay.
We
I
love you,
tried.
We love you.
Yes.
love you.
So
Well, we appreciate you so much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being the shoulders that we stand on. Thank you for continuing to pour into your community, our community, and just being a mentor and a light in this world, Jackie. We really, really appreciate you.
We love you.
appreciate you
Thank
guys. Thank you and keep up the awesome work. Really.
Thank you, Jackie.
All right. Bye-bye.
I need to cut the clips where she's talking about these different athletes and just send it to them. Just like, hey, here's a little extra
Here's a little
inspiration.
extra inspiration.
And the fact that Jackie Jones Kersey said, I saw you and I knew you were going to be great.
She didn't tell me that, but thank you. Today,
She knew, and
that
she was
I
right.
literally
She was right.
Oh my God.
How do we like?
Can we do
we,
the
like,
rest of the
wait,
show? Like what?
What do y'all want? Like, do you want us to talk about something else after that? Like, I don't know.
Wait, before we go any further,
Yeah.
like we were planning to have a second guest, but I'm so glad that we just had Jackie. Like that was just
yes. I didn't want to cut her
everything.
short at all.
I didn't want to cut her short. The candidness of the just telling stories and like bringing her and Bobby and just even including the work that she continues to do
Yeah. Just,
to like as I will continue to say,
Um,
we are fans of the people, and I think people need to know more of that
yes.
than 7291 speaks for itself. But
And if you, I'll do it at the end because I need to tell people follow Jackie on
yes,
Twitter, on
Instagram.
Instagram. You can go on her website to see how you can help donate to
help those missions,
her missions and her
Mhm.
causes, because she's doing great work, and like you said, she needs resources.
And she's not talking about it; she's doing it.
Yes, and I just also wanted to just say thank you. I feel like Natasha and I keep talking about how amazed we are because she says we have the access to these guests, but these guests are not only coming on our show, but I feel like they're just giving in a way that like I don't normally see on an interview, and I'm just so grateful for every single guest that
Every single one that we've had.
and we're going to continue this work. We're when we finish tomorrow on our Olympic coverage, we will be continue. Hopefully, we have some Olympians from some Tokyo Olympics who've already agreed to be guests on the show. So we'll be moving to our YouTube, and we'll be going on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. But not next Monday. This next Monday coming up because we need
Auntie needs a break.
Just a little break. Well, we're gonna start back up on Wednesday. Wednesday what day is that? Gosh darn it! Like, why don't we ever have anything together? Wednesday the 11th.
Yes.
We'll be back on our YouTube
live
stream. But Track Girl Summer year round. Like doesn't matter. Like I said, it doesn't matter the season. It's gonna be Track Girl Summer. Do you want to get into like a couple hot topics to close out the show?
I don't even want to, but let's do it.
Yes, Aisha, this Wednesday we'll be back. So like yesterday we were screaming, Italy, and there seems to be a little little bit of drama,
A little bit of trouble.
a little bit of murky water. So the 100-meter champion, Lamont Marcel Jacobs, he won gold in the men's 100. I said 100-meter champion who won gold. I'm sorry, guys. And he won in the 4 by 100. His nutritionist is
It's
coming
under
on a
investigation.
police investigation. Do you want to talk about what that was?
Yes. So before we go any further, Jacobs is on record to have disassociated or stopped working with Spazzini.
That's
is
his
name,
nutritionist, yeah.
His nutritionist back in March. So they no longer have a relationship. But the story is of interest because, as we said, he is under investigation, and Spazzini, although the two no longer work together, has been claiming some sort of input on Lamont Jacobs' medal,
Success.
his success this summer. Um, so the investigation is probing allegations that the head of a group, that being Giacomo Spazzini, was able to get a hold of a prescription pad and hospital doctor stamp, which were then used to obtain products for doping for himself and clients.
And the products were anabolic steroids, which we know is a performance enhancing drugs. And another issue when it comes to Jacobs is he just broke 10 seconds
in May.
So his performance didn't put him on the radar to get put into the AIU testing pool. So he was actually not tested extensively. I don't know. He probably was tested a few times, but not
He might
extensively.
have been tested in competition
Yeah,
as opposed to out
out
of competition,
competition.
because one of my very first questions was, well, speaking of Nigeria earlier in the week, where they weren't able to compete because of a lack of testing,
Mhm.
how then was he allowed to compete in the games if he was not in the out of competition testing
And
pool?
what I'm thinking is because he wasn't in the pool, there was no minimum, because it's like if you're not in the pool, you can't be held to a standard that everyone else in the pool is. If that makes sense. So if you're in the pool, it's like now you have to be tested X amount of times. If you are out of the pool and you have to make the Olympic team, like, dang, you had a great year. We didn't know that no one
So
expected
then
you to
my
make the
next
team.
question is,
So that's a crazy drop
should
to go
someone
from not breaking 10 seconds to 980, the European record.
Yeah, but I want to be clear that we're not insinuating
No, we're
anything
not.
here. We're just reporting on what is being reported. But then what leads to my next question then is, in promotion of clean and fair sport,
Mhm.
do you allow athletes, which as we see now, that are not in the pool and who have not been tested? Because essentially the athlete has the opportunity to be, performance enhancing because
And then
they're not
stop.
in the testing pool, and then come to the Olympics. Like, is that fair? Is that a promotion of clean sport to the other athletes? I mean,
I think it. I think it's hard because it's like you might have like some people have like the best year of their life, and um, people aren't expecting them to make teams, get medals. Um, it like high schoolers are not tested the way we are, but we
they're
see
not.
high schoolers on the team.
Do you
And
remember
so
when you were put into the out of competition testing, or when you had your first drug test?
I remember my first drug test. It was for it was when I made the juniors team, and I was 16, and it took me forever because I'd never done a drug test, and I had to pee in front of someone, and I was nervous, and I was 16 years old, and I also wasn't coming to make the team. I just happened to make this team. So that was my first time, and then my first time in the testing pool was when I went pro. After 2013, after my junior year of college. But I really didn't get tested in college. But I didn't really have an amazing I wasn't running world class times until my junior year.
That's so funny. I feel like we have the same story about our first drug test, because ironically enough, my first drug test was at Stanford. Yeah, I can't remember if it was the junior Pan Am team, or I think it was the junior Pan Am. It was the junior one of those junior teams that I was trying out for that I made, and I was selected for drug testing. And get this, I was excited because it was like,
I made it.
I'm in this club now, And so I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to pee. And then we go in the room and the DCO is like, oh no, I have to come in there with you. And like I instantly didn't have to pee anymore.
And now I can do it no
Now I
problem.
can do it with no problem, but I just was not prepared for the idea of someone watching me. But then going into college, I wasn't on the international testing list until maybe my sophomore year. So even though that's the thing, like collegiate athletes can also be on the USADA out of competition test. So I was being tested by both the NCAA and USADA, and I was tested more frequently by USADA than the NCAA.
Now here's my follow-up question because I just had this idea because I'm thinking about Sloan and Nasser, and I'm like, that is a very vulnerable position to because you have to be naked from the waist down basically when
Yeah,
you're doing it. And I was like, did they ask like for my parents to sign a permission slip? Because I'm under 18,
yeah. That's a
being
fair question.
exposed
I don't
to an
remember that.
adult. And I know sport is a privilege, so you have to do it in order to represent because they want to take over a clean team. But I also am like, safe sport
Hmm. Hmm.
is hopefully that's
Fair.
changed.
I'm gonna ask my mom.
Yeah,
I
I don't
do
remember my
feel like
dad being in. I okay. Want to know the other part? I forgot about this part. I was in drug testing because I made the team for the 400 hurdles, and I'm rushing because they took me over, and I didn't know my like rights. I had the 100 hurdles right after that,
mhm,
and so I'm like rushing to pee, and I can't pee, and I like didn't even get a warrant for the 100 hurdles because
you were
I,
in drug
but like I
testing.
didn't know I could advocate and say,
Yeah,
hey, I have another event, you have to wait to drug test me.
yeah.
And my dad was like, where were you? And I was like, I was getting drug tested. I don't know, and I'm excited because I'm like, I made the team and didn't expect me to make the team, but
I think this is speaking to why education is so
especially at a young
important,
age.
especially at a young age. Jasmine H says, I think it's very unfair that you can be off the list not getting tested. I think there needs to be lists for whoever is competing. Like you may need a testing requirement to compete. Track doesn't require testing to return to the sport.
I think the other issue is
Yeah.
that like money.
Mike L said a couple of things too. As a fan, I want to believe in the possibility of someone earnestly rising. And this here is when we're asked the question. This statement applies in so many ways, right? Because when we're asked the question of like, we know that there are cheaters out there, but
Mhm.
why do you continue to line up against those cheaters? It's because like I believe that it can be done, and
Yeah,
I believe that the
I
majority
did it. Like
of
I had a
athletes,
crazy drop,
exactly. The majority of athletes out there, I believe, are clean. It is that 1%. Um, it's just unfortunate that,
and we're not saying it's just it's we're just the circumstances are what they are. And I'm not saying to read into them. We're just on the circumstances. And when people ask, like, yes, it would be ideal to have everyone who's competing track and field tested. However, finances are also a problem, or
Mhm.
is a part of it, and like also having like testing centers in the right place, enough DCOs to go. Because if you live in wherever you know, so that's why they do top 50 in the world because it's also like if you're not top 50 in the world, no one thinks you're going to then jump to be the
Yeah.
Olympic gold
And
medalist.
Travis Tigard, who is I don't know if he's the president or but he's one of the top guys at
You saw it.
USADA. He has been candid about that because there has been questioning from some athletes that, hey, the testing needs to be more stringent. It needs to be this, that. And he very clearly stated, I don't disagree with you all. Where our shortcoming is finances. We've got to pay the DCOs. It costs those tests cost, and they pay for those tests. And there was the argument about how accurate is
Mhm.
urine, blood is more accurate, blood tests are more
Because you
are more
have to get a
expensive
phlebotomist to do it, but now we have the dry
than
the
the
dry
dry blood.
spot so that anyone can actually I
You
we
administer
do
it
it
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember that's one of the reasons I had an issue with the DC because he wanted to give blood and I was like in the middle of lifting and he was like, well, I booked this phlebotomist for these 30 minutes and he wanted to get his test. But I digress. Yeah, it is. Yeah, but on a kind of related note, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria has apologized to the nation for the
Mhm.
failures that led 10 athletes to not compete in the Olympic Games, and they have announced the creation of a new medical and anti-doping commission. And I appreciate this. Like, you made a mistake, take responsibility, and then make steps to change it. Good job, Nigeria. Two
Yeah.
claps.
Nothing's worse than not taking accountability, but to take accountability and then I'm gonna say put actionable steps in place.
Mhm.
The next step is to see Nigeria actually take those steps, because they say the best apology is changed behavior.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so kudos to Nigeria for taking the first step. And I hope that this is just the first step of them getting it right. And we get to see the Nigerian athletes compete on the highest level, because they are a strong contingency. They are.
Can I ask you a question completely unrelated, just talking about Jackie? So like so when we talk about Jackie has been a mentor to a lot of like to Allison, to Joanna, a lot of Bobby's greats. And
Mhm.
Allison, I always talk about how she's been such a great mentor to me. Also Virginia Powell, um, shout out to Jenny Crawford. They're the same person, but two different. But they like really I learned how to be a professional athlete from them, and they poured into me, and like they still check in on me even though I don't train with them,
Mhm.
and Jenny's retired, and I appreciate their support because like I said, I wouldn't be the athlete I am if it wasn't for them taking me under their wing.
Mhm.
Who was your track mentor?
Hmm. I I think it just kind of happened because, so let me just say, Michael Johnson. Um,
Hmm.
Many people don't know Michael Johnson was actually my first agent, and so that led to, naturally, he just was a mentor in terms of how to conduct myself business wise, competition. My first Olympic trials, he didn't coach me, but as we had Tyson on earlier this week, I was training with Tyson and Veronica Campbell. And 2008 was the year that Shelly Ann Fraser Price, well, then Fraser, um, and it was Shelly Ann. Um, God, I'm looking at her because Jamaica. Anyway, Jamaica swept the games, but the coach that I was training with made the choice to go to Jamaica instead of the U.S. trials because he wanted to be there for Veronica,
Hmm.
and he'd been training Veronica since college, and I was just this new chick that came to the group. And MJ coached me through the rounds at,
Wow.
yeah, and to this day, I believe that I placed fifth in the final. My coach made it back to the trials in time for the final, and my coach coached me through the final. And I believe that if MJ had coached me through that final, I would have made the individual. But I digress. It was MJ as well as Jeremy, who we also had on this week again, because Sharon Simpson and God, it was another girl who actually run the 400,
Talk about that chicken sweet.
the Jamaica Suite, Karan Stewart. Thank you. I have a funny story about me and Karan too. But anyway, um, those two,
Yeah.
MJ and Jeremy, like they just to this day, Jay and I obviously still text and talk about a lot of things. He's one of the ones that's encouraging me to keep going and keep competing in the sport. But yeah, I would have to say MJ.
Yeah, I think I just love how I was able to fit in that when I came on circuit, I kind of wanted to be like that girl, and everyone has stopped me, but like when you go to Disneyland and you get the autograph book, I wanted to go around the circuit with an autograph book and just get my faves. But I realized I'm like, no, Corey, you're like one of them now. But it's crazy because at, at some point you're just a fan, and then all of a sudden you're like,
A part of this
I
exclusive club.
yeah, and you have access, and it's so welcoming. Um, and to just I have pictures. Allison, I was getting recruited by USC, and so I'm at this football game, and they had all their let's see, I graduated 2008 Olympians
Mhm.
there, and Allison was there, and my sister will tell you, I have pictures of Allison. I could not form words to say hi, and like my sister goes, "This is my sister Corey. She's gonna be on the team with you one day." And of course, she probably was like, "Thank you." And then of course, one day I was actually on the team with her, and now Allison can't shut me up. But to go from there to where we are now, to where like she's pouring, it's just a crazy experience. Go from fan to like fellow competitor.
So have you wrapped your brain around you now being one of those people?
I feel like I've done a little bit because coach. I've been trying to coach flow, and so I've been a volunteer since I coach at
Let's just forget
Kentucky.
about this.
Yeah, Kentucky and Texas, and but I just feel like I just think of me as like me, and I try to be there for the kids. It's funny, at regionals this year, I felt like I was emotionally drained because I was talking to all of the girls, and I love them. I love playing that big sister role to them. But sometimes it was like, you run the 800, you don't even train with our group, but okay, like let's go, let's have a
Mhm.
powwow and like work things out. And I love being there for, and I just feel like not obligated, but it's like, who am I not to give when so much has been given to me? And I love being able to, like, on a day to day basis, like, hey, you want to be a professional athlete? Like every day you can look at me and see what it takes, and like
Mhm.
that's kind of, I feel like, my responsibility not only to the kids but also to Flo. Like, all right, like, how can you complain about this workout if Corey and the rest of the pros aren't complaining about it? It's like to lead by example, but also just if you have questions, whatever. Like, I love
Mhm.
pouring into that next generation.
It's interesting and it's humbling to
Yeah.
kind of see the cycle happen. We shared our stories about pretty much everyone that we had on: Gail, Mike Powell, Edwin, Jackie, Sandy, Sandra Farmer Patrick. See, we got
Mm.
little pet names that y'all might not even know. But like, to know that, like you said, we stand on their shoulders and they poured into us. And I had a funny thing happen to me this year, at the Baylor track meet. I was there running the 4x4, and this kid comes up to me and he says, I just wanted to say I really enjoy watching you. I grew up watching you run, and I'm looking at this kid in college like, you have the nerve to tell me you've been watching me run while you're growing up. And so it's just interesting
I
to
grew up
now.
watching
Yeah.
you.
But it's interesting because it's like we're sitting here fangirling over the greatness that we've been able to bring to our fans
Hmm.
here that have tuned in every day. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But it really is a passing of the torch, if you will. And, some of that responsibility, although can be draining at times, um, to pour it into the generation that's coming.
And you know what, Natasha? We have to give you your flowers because you have your whole foundation where
Mm.
you impart wisdom to girls, not just around the nation, around the world, because you've gone to
We
South
went to
Africa with
South
this
Africa.
thing. And just like Jackie said, you have to sometimes be able to touch people, see it.
So that they can believe it.
It's funny. My I love my parents, but their favorite thing to do is like, this is my daughter, Corey Carter. Da, da, da. Like literally a couple weeks ago when I went home to LA, we were in the nail salon
Mhm.
and we're talking. This lady and her daughter is in, and we find out that she does track. And I was like, I was encouraging her, but I didn't tell her like
Mhm. World
whoever.
champion.
And my mom like pulls her mom. She's like, this is, do you know my daughter's scorecard? Do you know that name? Okay, because da, 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 da. And she was like, here's my daughter's number. Text her anytime. But she's like, I just wanted her to know that like she's actually talking to someone who knows what she's talking about. This is a good moment for her. And I was like, Mom, let the girl get her nails done and go.
At
I just
least
wanted
them
to
being
encourage her.
peace. That's my grandfather.
Yeah.
But yeah, there I am doing some charitable work.
Yes.
Um,
I'm kind of annoyed. Like I would love to come and
yeah,
be a part.
don't you worry, I'll be
Yeah.
calling you.
I'll answer.
Anyway,
That
we've got a few minutes
Do you
before
wanna
we
you
wrap
wanna
up.
take some questions? I feel like there's some questions in the
Yeah, if
chat.
there's some questions. Also, for tomorrow's show, come with your questions.
Mhm.
Um, we would like to, if possible, we've been toying with the idea of maybe bringing some of you on in the way that we brought our guests on. Be respectful. Don't come through with no foolishness.
Mhm. But
We don't want no rogue penises on the screen.
exactly. The internet's a crazy place.
But
But
as a show of our appreciation for you all supporting us throughout this 12 or 13 days,
15 days. You
we
wanna do
want,
like a live Q&A. You don't have to do it in the chat. You can pop up on video questions. Um, if that's what y'all wanna do.
if
But
that's what y'all
please
want
bring your questions because we write a script, but like tomorrow's script's gonna be very bare.
to do.
I read
Oh, they're talking
about
about the FloJo and JJ
they
movie.
they said if I want to say said we're gonna try now, we can't. They asked who we would want to play, and I feel like we talked about this. I think Queen Harrison is a like if there was a doppelganger in track and field,
Yeah.
and like it also just like the glamour that is FloJo,
Mhm.
Queen exudes.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how Queen's acting
Okay,
is.
I was about to say I'm gonna sound like a hater because I don't I don't disagree that she should play the body double, but I think that when we talk about the movies, we have to remember that the movie is more about the life and
Yes.
not the performance on the track. So that's where I'm kind of like, that's just as we say here on the show, we're more interested in the person. And so I want to make sure that the person is played appropriately, gives the proper homage,
Yes.
tells the accurate
'Cause
story.
I don't want a like rinky dink, like bad acting.
Exactly.
I want, if we're gonna do this with our legend, let's do it right.
Exactly.
I want someone who went to Juilliard. Like,
Seriously.
um, that's a funny question.
Which one? This one
This,
or this
yeah,
one?
that are
I would,
people competing today that you looking a little suspicious at them? Don't have to name names. I'm gonna say I like I live in like this world where everyone runs fast and it's clean because I'm like I did it clean, and then Natasha and her mom will be like, well, this report came out or this, and they just ruin my innocence every time.
say that.
You do, but
Um,
it's real.
and I think to give some context to that, my mom ran in the 80s, and
Mm.
there was just, Edwin Moses didn't come along until the late 80s. And so it was known that it was,
Let's make that clear. Edwin Moses set up. If you weren't here for
uh,
that day, he set up the first out of competition doping. Him and some other athletes
mhm.
doping system. So she wasn't implying that like Edwin Moses was out here.
No, no, no. Yes.
Edwin was trying to clean up the sport.
Thank you for clearing that up. But no, yes, it's one of those things that it's in the back of my mind. But what you said earlier, that like I believe that it can be done clean. I
Mhm.
do it clean. And one thing that I'm only responsible for myself. And so I know what I'm doing and that's what I focus on. And I choose not to focus on what someone could possibly be doing.
And here's the reality. And maybe it's because I'm crazy. I know there's a possibility when I line up on the track, I'm running against someone who is not dirty. And but at the end of the day, it is not my job. I am not USADA. I'm not WADA. I'm not the AIU. So it is not my job to figure out who that person is.
Yeah.
My job is to figure out how to beat them anyways. And then they got to sit at home being like, dang, I've been juicing. I still couldn't get this girl.
I, I've never said this on record,
Okay.
um,
Track Girl Summer
but
exclusive.
now, but it's been proven now. I have been in the there. There is a specific situation that I remember lining up against someone, and it just didn't make sense. Um, I missed out on a couple of teams, and then she finally tested positive, and it was just kind of like we knew.
And Eric said it
Um,
yesterday. He's like, I couldn't say anything
yeah,
because you sound
you
bitter
sound bitter. You sound like a hater,
and you sound
and
like you don't want to
again,
work hard enough.
it's not my job. But unfortunately,
I think Eric said something that's quite poetic. He said, I knew I was a gold medalist. It just took till now for the rest of the world to find
to
out.
find out, yeah.
He said, I knew it then, which is crazy because it's like sometimes you just know.
That's why we say focus on what you have control over.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's what
with
the
that,
yeah. Do we have any more questions? Do you think Shawnee can go sub 48? With her 200 speed, it's very.
with her 200 speed, it's possible. And even though she ran a 24-second 200 final,
That's not.
she had 200 rounds in her legs,
Mm-hmm.
and 400 rounds in her legs. So I do wonder what,
Because
giving y'all wet armpit, what she can run on fresh legs.
to go 24, right? Or to go 48, right? That's 24, 24. But you like you always do, you go
never run
you
that
do
way.
you go a 2 second split. So
She
then you're
took
going.
out in 22 seconds.
So you're going 22, coming back in 26, right? That's going to give you 48,
Mhm.
right? But her PR is what?
48.
No, in the 200.
Oh, 21 something. 21
So what I'm
high.
saying is like
that 22 is a jog to her.
That's how to become a killer 400 meter
Yeah.
runner, because for me, my PR is not 21. Like I would be PRing to run 22, to come through 22. But for her, she's coming through at 80-90% of her PR at 200. So then she has the strength to finish, and that's what if you want to be a great 400 runner, get a great 200 split, because if you can get out and then you only have to come back in 26, which is nothing.
Yeah.
But it's being able to set up that first part of the race, but still having gas in the tank, because you're jogging to 22.
Come home. Yeah.
Yeah, but on paper, it's easier said than done.
Easier said than done. Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Anything else? The Bahamas went double gold. The U.S. went double gold in the 4x4. Poland went double gold in the hammer throw. Anything else?
I think that's it. I think we should wrap it up, and you guys come back tomorrow. You're gonna read our.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's why I handed it to you.
So yeah, for tomorrow's show, bring your questions. We'll have answers, maybe. The men's marathon, we'll be talking about that tomorrow. And then don't forget that once this show's over, we're going to be coming back to you guys on our YouTube starting Wednesday, August 11th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern, same time, different place. And we'll be going Monday, Wednesday, Friday on that show. And thank you guys for joining us today. I've been having a really great time. Be sure to follow us everywhere: Twitter, IG, Facebook. Natasha at Natasha Hastings. I'm at the Corey Monster. Follow Track Girl Summer on IG, YouTube, and Twitter. Someone asked about the merch. It's literally getting shipped to us. Hopefully, it might make
any day now. Just
pray
be
on
the
it.
lookout.
Pray on it.
Also follow the world's greatest.
That's what I was about to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Follow World's Greatest, YouTube, Twitter, IG. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. Thank you for the legendary Jackie Jenna Kersey for joining us. And make sure you come back to see we don't have any predictions. We didn't do predictions today. We'll just make sure you come back to see us. And remember, no matter what time of the year it is, it's always Track Girl Summer, baby. Thank you guys for joining us. This was a great show. I had so much fun.
Bye, guys.